We're in Pittsfield, Mass today on this rainy day at what used to be a Racy's Datsun Mazda. Now this was the coolest dealership in town back in the day because you could get RX-7s here, 240s. But what we're here for today is there's a barn find in here we can't wait to show you guys. There's a car in there that they only made 2,900 of back in the 70s, and this example's got less than 50 miles on it. It's been in storage here in the old showroom for 4 decades. Hasn't seen the light of day. Might be the lowest mileage example of this car left in the country. So for those of you that can see a little bit in the background right now, you see the tail end of the car, some of you guys might recognize it. That's a Bricklin SV1. So we're gonna get inside, we'll do a little more from inside, show you the car, check back with us in a couple of minutes. So you guys saw the preview earlier we did outside when we were opening the building. We're actually here with Andrew Newton from Crawford Service, who invited us to be part of this today. A lot of you guys will remember Andrew from the 2014 Silverado build and the 2017 Jeep Unlimited build we did. And also, astute viewers will remember that one of our calendars was shot in his shop and included a couple of his cars. But Andrew, why don't you tell us what we're doing here today and give us the story behind this car.
All right, so today we're taking this car out of this dealership. It has been here since 1975, and this is the first time it's seen the light of day, probably since 1975. 74, 75.
Mm-hmm. The owner of the car is actually behind us waving at us, correcting us to 74. He said the car's going to get restored and it's going to be driven. It'll be the first time in 4 decades it's been driven.
It has 38 miles on it, and the only reason why it has 38 miles on it is he's generous enough to let one of the guys that worked for him, who practically begged him, to take it to a car show. Those miles are just from that day, and that's it. He won a trophy with the car that day. He said altogether when he was selling these, he probably sold about 12 of them. But this one hung around, and I'm really excited and thankful to have the opportunity to remove it out of the building.
And depending on the reports that we've read, the research we've done on the car says it could be anywhere from 1,100 to 2,900 of these were made. Of course, the information's available on the internet, so we're not sure exactly what's true. We'd have to probably find some of the original Bricklin stuff to find out exactly how many of these were made. But this one is one of the examples that's got the Ford 351 in it. It's a 3-speed automatic transmission, had an AMC Javelin chassis. These things back in the day, the closest rival it had was the Chevrolet Corvette. Comparable power, a little more of an interesting car with the gull wing doors, a little bit of a cooler interior. This car's a great story. Maybe we'll follow along with the restoration if the owner, Jim, is nice enough to let us get back, take some pictures as he restores it. Check in with Crawford's, check in with us. We'll keep you up to date on what happens with this car next.
Thank you.
Sweet.